Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby, and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today you've got the pleasure of watching both the best and the worst tank in the game. It's the FV4005. Best tank because it likes to absolutely devour its opponents with the highest alpha damage in a single shot in the game, and the worst tank because it's an absolute barn that's easy to penetrate and frankly is probably one of the worst tier 10 tanks for having an impact in the game. However, today our hero FV, my beloved, is going to give the argument why this is the best tank in the game. And, yeah, I mean, if you just roll like a 1 in 100 shot at the start of the battle, you know you're in for a spicy game. Rewind the YouTube video there and see that was literally on the move at about 35 kilometers an hour with the experimental turbo that FV, my beloved, is using against the fastest vehicle in the game and one of the hardest probably to hit as it's quite small in stature, the EBR-105. FV, my beloved, seems to be quite happy about that with an XDDDDD, and that was XD indeed, my friend. On the move, yes, great start. And I have to admit, when you're playing an FV4005, the last tank that you want to leave alive on the enemy team is the EBR, but also E50s as well. Apparently FV, my beloved, doesn't like E50s as well, and that particular E50 just got absolutely farmed. Unfortunately, FV, my beloved, has to take 2 high-rolling shells from the STB-1, so while the tank has already done probably the average amount of damage that an FV4005 does inside a game of World of Tanks, you still don't want to be taking those kind of like soft shots, right? But talk about impact, right? 2 tanks, 2 shots, 2 frags. That is the FV4005 way. And what I love about FV, my beloved, and the way that they're going to play this game is, are they kind of like just chilling at the back, waiting for other people to spot them and their opponents to kind of like just dive out in front of them? No, they're in an incredibly cheeky position. It's an aggressive position for sure. This position's very aggressive. If anyone was to kind of like just sneak up over there and they get spotted, they might have some shots in the side of their turret, or alternatively, if anyone gets up towards that high ground where the Minotauro is, they're going to have easy shots into them as well. But FV, my beloved, has 3 marks of excellence in this FV4005, and they're going to show you exactly why. And that is, they are ruthless. They'll make the aggressive play, they'll make the shutdown play, and get safe, hopefully afterwards, against maybe the shots that might come in from the side. And you know what? In a game like this, oh, pesciati. In a game like this, I do think that this battle would be one of those games that gets completely snowballed and lost without opportunistic, aggressive plays in the FV4005. Because if you look at it right now, even though FV, my beloved, has done 4,000 damage, their team is still down by 2,000 hit points and only even on kills. So if we take away FV, my beloved's impact in this battle, then it's just going to be one of those kind of games which gets snowballed. Talk about snowballing. Oh, sir, that is the best tier 10 tank destroyer getting absolutely minced by the worst tier 10 tank destroyer, at least with regards to impact in the battle and overall win rate difference in the last 30 days on Tomato GG. But yeah, you don't need to have turret armor. You don't need to have all of these funky things when you just have a very accurate gun. And with a crew skill like concentration getting activated, although it looks like that E75 didn't have quite so many hit points to give, the FV can be an absolute brute. I've been playing this thing recently on my free-to-play account, and I can tell you what a difference a good equipment and a good crew will make on this vehicle, especially the gunner. I was trying to limp away playing this vehicle with only a 3-skill crew on the gunner, and I wasn't able to have things like concentration, I wasn't able to have things like armorer. And when you have those 2 crew skills, you're getting like 5 or 6% extra accuracy. And that's like half a piece of equipment on this vehicle. Talk about half a piece of equipment. FV, my beloved, has set this thing up with 2 level 3 pieces of experimental equipment. So they're kind of getting half a maxed out accuracy device, half a maxed out aiming device, half a maxed out turbo, and kind of like half a maxed out rotation device as well. And this is the kind of tank where you'd want to use all of the pieces of equipment on it. So by taking those 2 experimental pieces of equipment, FV, my beloved, might not be getting the best of any situation, but they're still improving lots of aspects of the tank, which might allow a vehicle which is purely one-shot, one hit, one kill kind of gameplay to actually have a little bit more flexibility, or at least the consistency to be able to deliver that shot accurately, which is what the FV4005 is all about. Alright, so now in the center of the map, the game is kind of cooling down a little bit. And now all of the medium tanks, apart from the FV4005, are dealt with. The light tank was eviscerated at the start of the battle. That now means that FV, my beloved, doesn't have to worry so much about aggressive vision that might be coming in from different parts of the map. And instead can kind of like sit here, set up this ambush. But remember, this vehicle, I believe it has the worst camo rating in the game. So even when sitting completely still in a bush, this vehicle has a lowly 1.37% base camo. And a lot of players probably wouldn't take concealment on this vehicle. You're going to only get marginal gains in it. And I really don't think the FV405 would even really benefit that much from an exhaust. Although it's a flat rate, so you're literally probably going to like quadruple the vehicle's camo if you're so inclined for sitting still and getting an ambush. But I still think like you'd be mad to want to use an exhaust or a camo net on a vehicle like this. Because as FV, my beloved, shows, it's not so much about hiding the barn as it is about trying to create that ambush shot. And I think by far the best way to play these kind of tank destroyers, and I've learnt it with the WT Alpha E100, aka the Phoenix, recently, is that by getting into cheeky positions and trying to get more like ambush shots on your opponents rather than long-range ambush shots. I'm talking about kind of coming around the corner and surprising your opponents, or getting forwards and just trying to overpower them, as we saw FV, my beloved, did against the STB-1. Then that is really the way to kind of cash in, rather than kind of sitting back and waiting for your team to be able to spot your opponents and just hope that they suck. Now, of course, there are FV games like that. You get on Prokhorovka or Malinovka and you just get lucky. But if you want to have consistent impact like FV, my beloved, you might have to mix up your gameplay and take it upon yourself to get into cheeky positions and not just wait for your opponents to be able to make mistakes. And oh, you're going to fire, you're going to fire. I guess FV, my beloved, realizes he's trying to hunt for like the full shot here rather than for like a 500 damage shell. Although, you know, if you hit one of the side armor, even when it's angled on the 430 U there, that might still be at least 900 damage. That's what's scary about these Hesh rounds. They may cost 8,000 credits a shot, but because of their high penetration, it means that even if they don't pen, they still do very substantial damage. We'll talk about substantial damage. It might be coming in for the FV4005 here, as FV, my beloved, pulls back, getting spotted by a Jagdtiger. And yeah, pretty much every other tank destroyer in the game, bar maybe the Jagdpanzer E100, would not have got spotted in that position. But that's the best and the worst about this tank. That's why it's the best tank, and it's also the worst tank at the same time. So FV, my beloved, having just chilled for a few minutes in the bush there, unable to be able to get an opportunity, is now going to make their way down towards the town and see if they can maybe continue to get some ambushes. And whoa, talk about FV versus FV, but that FV's used a durability device. 2,250 hit points, lad. That's a lot inside World of Tanks. So FV, my beloved, makes one of the moves that is mandatory to make if you want to become an expert in your FVs, and that is to use your R key. If you tap your R key once, you drive forwards very slowly, and when you drive forwards very slowly, your reticle never blooms out, so you're never caught in the open making those highly risky, I just hope it hits kind of shots. By driving slowly in this vehicle, you can control the size of the reticle so you can be ready for the ambush against your opponents. And that 5120 feels the wrath of that 183mm main armament being turned into a pancake and sent right back into the garage. So now FV, my beloved, having dealt with a third of the enemy team pretty much, having dealing 7,000 damage and picking up 5 kills, still has a lot of work left to do. And that is an ambush shot on FV405, and we can see good control there, waits for the clean shell. When the FV notices them, doesn't give them a chance to be able to turn, and even though it wasn't fully aimed, it flies through and shuts down the tier 10 Soviet medium tank. Now the 60 TP advances through, but that's not the kind of tank that you want to deal with in an FV405, especially when they're only on 222 hit points. Just not so much to give, right? So I guess FV, my beloved, is probably hoping that the DZT-159 is going to get behind that 60 TP, and boy, do they as they shut them down. Okay, so now having dealt with the town, I guess FV My Beloved is still thinking about the FV215B183, and we can see because they ping the map. The Leopard gets spotted. The Leopard takes an AP shell. Artillery stuns the FV a little bit, and fully aimed, nearly, and a good roll. 1,700 damage. That was some Brit on Brit action, but it looks like the champ here has to be the FV4005. That is, as they're both FVs, right? Same guns, different armor layouts, and oh my word, this is what you want to see. A full health Jagdtiger just yeeting across the middle of the map. The Jagdtiger spots. Will the Jagdtiger turn? I think the Jagdtiger's just got to accept it, but oh my word, it actually couldn't hit the side of a barn there. What a kind of like duality of a game, right? Hits the EBR moving at the start of the battle, but literally couldn't hit the side of a barn, unless that was an AP shell and I'm making a big mistake. But still, even the non-pen was 900 damage. Probably should be loading an AP shell here rather than HE shell, which would be more likely, I guess, to go through awkward angles of spaced armor, maybe on the tracks of the Jagdtiger. But that would be nitpicking right now, as FV My Beloved shuts down the Jagdtiger, puts their damage total to over 11,000, and now it's just a Conway versus a Tortoise, a Udez, and an M5355. And when you see them right out in the middle, as long as this Conway doesn't fire HE right now, that should allow FV My Beloved. And that Conway had 3 marks to shut them down and just absolutely delete the enemy team here. 12,600 damage and also 9 kills. We got to see at least why the FV might be one of the best tanks in the game when it's in the hands of an excellent skilled player who obviously loves this vehicle enough to dedicate their entire account's name to it. The tank that you love to hate and you hate to love, at least when it's going well. That's just the FV4005 for you, boys and girls. So absolute monster game here for a monster player. This was a Radley Walters medal for those 9 kills, a high caliber for that 12,600 damage, and a tank sniper for dealing a lot of that at long range, even though FV My Beloved was not just a red line sniper in this game, was getting forwards, active, and just influencing the battle over 6 times the damage of what anyone else on their team was able to do. And this was just an FV4005 masterclass, really, with how to impact the battle and not to just sit and watch it wilt and melt and lose. And funnily enough, even with resupplying the premium consumable at full cost, this was broke even with the FV4005, as every shot hit and only the one that didn't go into the Jagdtiger from the side, not penetrating. So just how many games has a player like FV My Beloved actually played in their FV4005? 1,240. But one thing that's really interesting is that even though FV My Beloved is an absolute god tier player and really has min-maxed their FV4005 here, they're still getting by far the worst win ratio in the FV4005 compared to all of their other most played tanks by like multiple percentages, if not kind of like 10%. And while I'm in no way saying that 61% wins is bad for an FV4005, it's incredible considering that the vehicle actually decimates most of its players' win ratio, having by far the worst win rate impact on all of the FV4005 owners. It really does hit home that even god tier players like who are kind of really know the vehicle, like FV4005 My Beloved, that even though this tank can be absolutely amazing when you're rolling 6s and everything is going your way, more often than not it's a low impact barn of a vehicle that is more used to getting farmed and actually does the least damage of any of the tank tree tank destroyers, even though now its players' win ratios are not entirely horrific. So, FV My Beloved, thank you so much for uploading possibly one of the best FV4005 replays I've ever seen. I loved the round, but absolutely hated how easy you made this look, considering this is one of my kind of like apocalypse kryptonite kind of tanks. Anyway, ladies and gents, boys and girls, that was it for today. Really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And let me know in the comments down below whether you're an FV4005 lover or hater. And if you're watching this video as it goes live on Monday, I'm going live all day on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby with brand new drops. So come get yourself some premium consumables, some reserves, and also some directives as well, just for watching the stream today. So really looking forward to seeing you all live right now. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.